Hello and welcome, and in this video we are going to have a look at Blender interface, because if you are using it for the first time this might be a little bit overwhelming. When you open up Blender for the first time, you can see that your entire layout is divided into different screens as you are seeing here. And the first one here is this big 3D viewport, and this is the large viewport that you are seeing here. This is what we call as the 3D viewport. This is the main area where you carry out all your activities like modeling, rigging, animation. This is actually the stage where we are going to build our story in Blender. In the next video, we will go in detail about how to navigate through this scene. Now, if you come here, on the left top corner you can see a menu here. If I click here, you can see all the available panels of Blender right here. Say for example, right now this is set to 3D viewport. Say for example, I can change it to shader editor. So now you are seeing the shader editor window. Like this, I can choose any of the panel here and I can customize it, but right now I will put it back to 3D viewport here. And above this we have file to save, open the file, import and export and edit. You have all the setting. Basically here you have the preferences where we are going to do all our settings. I will close this. And apart from this, you have the render where we are going to carry out our render activity. You have window, you have help. These are the 5 menus present over here at the top. And after that, you have various layouts available in Blender. Right now, this is the default layout. If you click modeling, you have a different layout where the object now is in edit mode. Then you have the sculpting layout where we can do carry out the sculpting, UV editing, texture paint, shading, animation, then rendering, compositing, geometry nodes, scripting. Also apart from this, if you press plus, you can also choose many of the panels present over here. You have a layout even for video editing. So right now I will come back to the default layout over here by clicking on this layout window. And now if we come down, if you just bring the mouse to this area over here, you can see our mouse converts into a double arrow. And now if I click and drag, I can resize these panels like this. I can also resize this panel like this. I can readjust this panel and I will make the bottom panel a little bigger, and you can see the bottom panel, and this is the timeline editor. Again here you have the button. If I click here, I can choose any of the other panel over here, but right now it is set to timeline window. Here is where we are going to create animation and we are going to play our animation. Say for example, if you press space bar, you can see the animation is playing here. If I stop it, here you can see the current frame, which is 124, the start frame is 1, end frame is 250. This is the range. I can make all the changes over here, and also I can move it back by pressing the left arrow key. I move it frame by frame. If I press the right arrow key, I move it frame by frame. But if I press shift plus left arrow, I will come to the first frame. Shift plus right arrow, I will come to the last frame. Again I will press shift plus left arrow and I will come back to the first frame here. The third window that we are going to have a look at it is the properties window. This is the properties window, and here again I can click it and I can choose any other layout. Right now this is set to properties window. So you can see here it is set to properties window, and here you have various tabs. You have the tab here, active tool tab, then you have the render properties, then you have the render settings, then you have here the layer property, then you have scene property, world property, then you have collection property, then you have object property, modifiers which we are going to use a lot, then you have constraint particle properties, then you have physics properties, then you have constraint property, then you have object data property, and then materials and textures. And these properties are going to change based on the object that I am going to choose. For example, if I select this cube, you are going to see this as object data. If I select the camera, you can see this will show me the camera data, and similarly I will press shift and middle mouse and pan down to see this light. When I select the light, you can see the panel here changes to light setting. So, this panel will be context sensitive to the selection that I make over here. So, we are going to go through all these panels as we work through our project. And finally, on the top here we have the outliner window. This is the outliner window. So, if I click here, you can see this is the outliner, this is set to outliner, and in this outliner basically you can see the outline of all the objects that we are using in our scene. Right now in our scene we have just 3 objects: camera, cube and light, and as we work this area will be filled with thousands of objects, and by chance if you have thousands of objects and if you want to search some object, you can just come here, say I type cube, you can immediately select the object that you are searching for. You can see here you have this search facility. So, we are going to go in detail about this in our future classes. Apart in this outliner window also you have another menu over here. If I click, you have scenes, you have layer, you have sequencer, and you have blender file. This is the structure of your blender file, and I will now come back to here to the layer section. I will come to view layer. So, it by default it will be in view layer mode. So, these are the various panels that are present in Blender. So, this is all about this 3D user interface. Actually, you have so many panels are available here. We are not going to go in detail with it right now. As we work on the project, we are going to learn about various panels and settings over here. So, right now, let us conclude this session on the user interface. This is just a brief overview, and as we work, we are going to dive in detail in all these areas. In our next session, we are going to review how we are going to navigate in this 3D viewport. Okay, then see you in the next session. Thank you.